Welcome to Forging Hearts, where today we're going to introduce you to ourselves, Tanner and Nick, and we're going to discuss a little bit about our history, who we are, what our families are like, get to know a little bit about our personalities, essentially. We're also going to introduce to you our heart on this whole show, the reason why we're doing this show, a little bit about what our goals, what our mission is here, and hopefully you get a little feel about what our heart and where we're going with this whole thing.
Yeah, Nick, I'm excited to just get to talk about what gets us excited about doing these podcasts, and so really looking forward to seeing what comes out.
Can we bring the heart of our Heavenly Father into earthly dads through the Holy Spirit, through learning, through the church, the body?
What's worth investing in, leading into, spending time, energy, growing is what you do with investment. You are seeking growth.
As we look at our goals for this podcast, one thing my goal is, I'm going to quick tell a story of a good friend of mine whom I had met with, and he didn't mean to give me a teachable moment, but it was a teachable moment, and it was gold. I'll be real honest with you. You are my guinea pig. You're my first child. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm human, and so for that I apologize. And I thought to myself, that's beautiful.
Too often, my time with the Lord was what was getting compromised. Hey, I don't have time for this. I want to exercise. I want to do whatever, and I wasn't getting my devotion time in.
Yeah, well, that's great. Well, first off, let's get started here, and let's just get a basic background intro. Tanner, who the heck are you?
Who am I? That's a complicated question. Let me answer that with telling you a little bit about a documentary I was watching.
Wow, you're the documentary, or you were watching a documentary?
I was watching the documentary.
Okay.
It was a documentary about the early big steamships that we saw that were created, the Titanic, so forth, all about these large metal ships. It was riveting.
Oh.
So it was
literally riveting.
Literally riveting. No, that was a poor joke. But tell you a little bit about myself. So 30 years old, have 4 boys, have actually a 5th young boy who my wife and I were not able to carry full term, but are excited about meeting him in heaven someday. So I always have this sense of a real boy dad, I feel like. So
sure.
Have a heart for raising my boys to love the Lord. So I have been working with my father-in-law at a local repair shop and used vehicle, pre-owned vehicle, I like to say.
Yeah, that's right.
Car sales, Keystone Quality Motors. So I work in the office there and really enjoy getting to meet with people, getting to lead the employees as my role continues to grow in that business, and really enjoying where we're going with that.
Tanner, something I got to know very quickly about you is when we first met, you were a guy where you were such a good storyteller. There would be times where you would start a story, and I had to think to myself, is this a legitimate story? I don't know where this guy is going. You're that good of a storyteller, and I know your personality is a joker out, so it's always fun. And but I do have to tell you, there's been a couple times you got me hook, line, and sinker.
Is that right?
Absolutely. There's a couple times where I remember you starting a story, and I'm just like, I'm so engaged, I'm so there, and you're just looking at me like, you're believing this?
I love a good story. I don't consider myself a good storyteller, but I do enjoy trying to make people laugh.
Oh, man.
I love a good laughter.
The king of the dad jokes. I love the way you actually kick that off with a joke. I mean, get us to know a little bit about yourself. Well, that dad joke is literally everything a little bit about yourself. So I do appreciate that.
It was I'm pretty good for in a lot of situations trying to keep it light, and it's not the best quality, but it's one I like to live into.
It's on point. It's on point for sure.
How about you? Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. So I got married in 2015. Make sure I get all the years right. My wife will come after me. Married in 2015. We have 2 boys as well. So basically what we have here is 2 dads just with a ton of boy raising and trying to figure out how to raise men of Jesus. So kind of in the same boat, not as many yet. So with that, my wife and I are just on this journey of figuring out all the things that come with raising a little boy.
Yeah.
So it's been a lot of fun. I do co-own a business with my dad. So you work with your father-in-law. I co-own a business with my dad, working in the IT consulting industry. So we do work with you. So that's always fun. I do enjoy our phone calls together.
You do excellent work.
Thank you. Thank you. A little business spotlight there. And I joined the business in 2012, and I did that as basically an unpaid employee. And so that was a fun time. I learned a lot. I had just graduated high school. And through that, then just learning the business, learning the ropes about the trade. And so that was a lot of fun. So basically getting married and trying to raise a business at the same time. Now I just tacked on raising children. And no, that is not an insignificant portion of my life. So what I am doing on the daily right now is to love my wife, love my children, and try to raise a business which supports employees. So, yeah. and do this, and do this. And frankly, this is very enjoyable because a lot of it is an outlet for me.
Yeah.
So anyways, that's pretty much my life in a nutshell. I can configure it down to my marriage, my children, and work.
Yeah.
And somewhere in between is friendship.
So life's busy, like you said. You told a little bit about when you were married. So my wife Tanya and I met in youth group. She's the only one that I ever dated. Saw her, and that's the one for me.
It.
That was it. I was done.
And you gave her a sweet story, and she
yeah. Oh, we have so much fun, and she is such an amazing friend, a wonderful mother to our boys. We are celebrating 10 years of marriage this year. So the big 1-0. Yeah. So loving that. And yeah, just raising our boys, it's a blast. It's a lot of work, as I know you know.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It's my big thing right now is trying to take advantage of the time that we have. So in anything I'm doing, I'm trying to really focus on how can I do it well, which really comes down to feels like there's a lot going on in life right now. Like you're saying, with family, with work, with church, with this podcast, and we can talk about that a little bit more. How we got to start with this podcast.
Yeah.
I know I don't want to speak for you, but you sort of had this vision and brought me into it, and so it was really cool. It's something that honestly I stepped back and thought, is this something that I have time for in my life right now? What's that look like? But it's been awesome getting to do these first few episodes and get to learn so much from Brian, from you. It's been really cool and something that I feel like really goes along with this heart of raising godly boys. So what's that? What do I have to live into so that my sons can see what's a godly father look like? What's a godly husband look like? I even think in business. I mean, what are they going to learn from how I talk about employees, how the business is. How do we help those? I mean, it's a automotive repair and sales, but we're in the customer service business. How do we treat people? There's all kinds of people that can fix cars. What makes us different?
So Tanner, the reason I wanted to share this vision with you is because you are such a good conversationalist, and there's multiple reasons, but you are such a good conversationalist. What you just described there is a perfect segue into the whole mission of the reason behind the podcast. And one last bit of personal information. The reason Tanner and I have done this together and got to know each other so well is because he married my cousin. So there's some background there as well. I fully approve. I did approve at the time as well, just to be clear on that. Yeah. And I still approve. It's wonderful. It's funny. I think I was very close to your wife growing up as kids and such. And it's funny. I think basically I swapped her out with you, and very not intentional, but essentially I do appreciate that you've been folded into our family, and it's been a lot of fun. And so that's probably the biggest reason why I wanted to do this podcast with you. And
I don't mean to interrupt you. I remember the first time that we met was at the cabin, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, good.
I remember hearing about this Nick kid. And star football quarterback.
Oh boy!
Just everything he did well.
Oh man!
And so I remember meeting you at the cabin. I forget how old we were. I mean, we were 16, 17 maybe.
That sounds right. Yeah.
And remember you coming and this long haired. Not long hair.
It was long.
It was pretty long.
It was long.
Who is this Nick guy? And right away, man, we hit it off. We had such a blast.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I remember even Tanya then joking down the road about how we ended up talking. I ended up talking more to you than her. and that's very natural too. I mean, when that's one of the things I believe is God's design for friendship.
Yeah.
I mean, this is all very natural. And so kind of getting back into that whole segue that you perfectly segued this into is this idea of doing this podcast together, presenting the idea to you. It had been twirling around in my mind for a while. I did start a podcast for my business, and so I did enjoy the aspect of doing a podcast. Got to know all the little weird details. Still learning a lot, but I started toying around like, what's my escape? Like, where am I saying I want to invest not just business energy, because I was investing all this business energy, again, trying to get the ship sailing in the right direction. But what's something that can grow me spiritually? And I really felt like Jesus was, I've been meeting with a couple guys, really incredible guys, older than me, who are dads and have been doing dad life for a while now. And
the
dad thing, exactly. And I've just gleaned so much from them. And I thought to myself, how can I apply this back into what Jesus is trying to do in my life? And so I kind of toyed around with this idea, and I thought, now who would be a perfect partner to do this with? And that's kind of how the idea came about. And really this heart of, okay, I am a dad of a 2-year-old who will be 3 in March, and right now a 7-8 month old. And so I'm very young dad, and I'm learning a lot. But yet, as I hear these older dads who are coming along with all this wisdom, I'm thinking, there is so much out there. And I think Jesus is calling dads to something more. Mm-hmm. So here's my escape. Let's grow spiritually, and really present the heart of the Father. Can we bring the heart of our Heavenly Father into earthly dads through the Holy Spirit, through learning, through the church, the body, and grow together? Because this isn't just for just raising boys. We might have 6 boys, 7 boys collectively. Mm-hmm. But the reality is just having the heart of a dad, having the heart of a father, reflecting that of our Heavenly Father is the mission.
Yeah.
Is a mission, I believe, that we're trying to engage in.
And I love the word that you use there, investing, right? Mm-hmm. So how can we invest in being better dads, to be more like Christ in what we do, what we say, how we act. And that investment, I often think of that word. I often think of relating very closely with business, and it does, and investing money and all that. But it's the exact same concept in how we live our life. What do we what's important to us?
Yeah.
What's worth investing in, leading into, spending time, energy, growing. Is what you do with investment. You are seeking growth, and so I think that's really cool. I like what you said there, and I think it's such a neat opportunity for us to hang out,
for sure,
invest, to learn together as we get in these people that I would call experts in their field that I respect.
Yeah.
We respect greatly. And who can sort of speak into our lives. And I feel like through that we can grow, and hopefully it's something that others can grow along with us.
Absolutely. And one quick story I'll tell, because I think this is the goal. Like, as we look at our goals for this podcast, one thing, my goal is, I'm going to quick tell a story of a good friend of mine whom I had met with, and he didn't mean to give me a teachable moment, but it was a teachable moment, and it was gold. This friend will remain unnamed for now, and I had been meeting with this person, and they were talking about how they were engaging with their oldest child, and they have multiple children, and their oldest child was feeling a little frustrated this day that they were having this conversation about how their younger siblings were able to do stuff at a younger age than they were. And so this whole idea of like, well, I didn't get to do that when I was their age. And I remember so vividly my friend, who is the dad, saying to their older child, I'll be real honest with you. You are my guinea pig. You're my first child. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm human. And so for that, I apologize. And I thought to myself, that's beautiful. I mean, to have this heart of humility, like, I often feel like as parents, it could be portrayed that we own our children. And to a certain degree, we own the way we raise our children, for sure. But do we ever feel like obligated to apologize to them? Like, we need to own who we are. And I thought, wow, I mean, you're being so honest with your child. I want to take that into my relationship, even with my wife. I mean, yes, I'm sorry, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm a screw up. And so for my children, that's one thing I'm trying to hit home. And so even thinking to this podcast now, how can we help other people have that kind of response? Like, hey, that's something I want to reflect in my own life with my children.
Yeah. That's an awesome story. And that's really cool. That's eye-opening to hear. And I think about it with my son and 5 years old, and getting to, I mean, he's a little man, right?
Yeah,
he's got his personality. He's making decisions on his own. It's a really fun stage to be at, where he's thinking through things. He's making smart decisions, meaningful decisions on different things, and it's 100% right. Guinea pigs, man. I can think of many times come to mind of, I wish I would have done that differently. But, and I look back at our other boys, they're 3, 2, and almost 1. I feel like I don't have to make the same mistakes on them. And it is a blessing, the resilience that children have, and the short memory that the Lord has. They have long memory. It's amazing how much they remember, and yet it's amazing how quickly they forgive.
Yeah, that's right. And so even pressing into that a little bit, so the goal then is not necessarily perfection, but it's about growth, learning, adjustment. Investing. Yeah,
for sure. Oh, that's so good. Absolutely. So tell me, Nick, what's something that you've been working on or growing, an area you've been growing in recently in your life?
Yeah. Wow. To be honest, again, we talked about having a busy life. I feel like there's so many areas in my life right now that are moving in a direction. But probably the one thing, if I could pin everything on one thing, it'd be called The One Thing. And it's based off this book I'm reading. And I actually got it as part of a business group. Somebody had given me this book, and it's called The One Thing.
Okay.
And basically it's about business, but to me it's so much more. So the whole concept is that multitasking is a lie. Now, this book obviously is so much more than that, but I'll whittle it down to that. I think that's fair. I don't know if the author would appreciate that, but that's what I'm going to do. Multitasking is a lie. And so whatever you're doing, like today, if you're at work, what's the one thing you could be doing that is a top priority? Just do that. What's the one thing at home you could be doing? Just do that. And so to me, that's really hit home for me. Okay, so when I go home, and I'm really bad for this, I got to be checking my phone. Did any new emails come through? I'm not sure. Well, what am I engaged? Yeah. And recently now, maybe I won't be doing this as much, but I wonder what's happening with the Eagles anymore.
Yeah.
So no, I probably won't be doing that as much now that the season's over. But the reality remains the same is I want to be engaged wherever I'm at. And so what's the one thing in this moment? It's about essentially living in the moment. And maybe that sounds like a bad thing, but to me, that is perhaps even getting back to the biblical heart of things.
Yeah.
To not necessarily plan and store up for things for the future, but to live in the moment and tell my family, okay, I'm here. Let's engage with you. Okay, I'm at work. What's the one thing I could do? Hey, I'm with my children playing. What's the best thing I could do? And sometimes that might be sitting on the floor with them and playing imaginary games with them.
Yeah.
And that's the best thing I could be doing, investing in.
Yeah. Hey, that's so true. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So that's really what's going on in my life. So what about you? With four boys and a wife and work, there's got to be something you're learning.
Yeah. This has been a awesome start to the year. I feel like the Lord has really worked in my life the last even 6 months. So as I mentioned, life has gotten very busy. And so as I've been wanting to, I enjoy all these things that I'm involved in at church, at work. Like I said, my role at work has been turning into a leadership role and something that I am absolutely loving.
Good.
With a family and a heart to raise boys for Christ.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of work. And takes a lot of time more than anything. And so how can I maximize this time? I will admit I was the guy that it seemed like any spare moment at home, I would be on YouTube watching those shorts.
Oh,
those are a terribly addictive.
They're horrible.
Way of just, it is force feeding yourself information. It can be very entertaining.
Absolutely.
But a complete waste of time. And so, in my opinion.
No, I agree.
Something that I've been trying to, and my wife, Tanya, as you know, is very organized, very intentional in everything that she does. So I learned a lot from her, have been learning a lot from her. So that is a long way of saying the Lord has been teaching me organization, efficiency, and what I will admittedly say is too often my time with the Lord was what was getting compromised. Hey, I don't have time for this. I want to exercise. I want to do whatever, and I wasn't getting my devotion time in. And so that's something I've really been trying to prioritize. And so I'm trying to structure my day a lot more. I try to choose a word to live into each year. My word for this year is leader. So I want to be a leader in everything I do. And that takes a lot of intentional steps and effort. And so I've been reading more. I've always believed that some of the smartest people I know are big readers. And I very quickly found that the correlation between the two. Yeah. And yet I don't enjoy reading. I don't.
Really? You got a good book, man. You can just lean into that.
But honestly, the more I've been reading, I mean, it's gold that you can learn in these things. And even if the whole book isn't gold, these nuggets that you can find can be so helpful.
Absolutely.
So I'm trying to live into that. And so the Lord's been teaching me a lot about trying to not let these small things, the YouTube, I've since deleted from my phone. So I haven't watched YouTube in
Good for you.
weeks, which
good for you.
feels like a huge step for me. But deleting that has allowed me to not waste so much time, because you can have all good intentions of, I'm just going to uncheck here for 5 minutes, and 25 minutes later, it's like, phew, that was a waste of time.
Wasn't I supposed to be doing something?
Right. Yeah. So it's been good. It has been worth every bit of energy putting into trying to be a more focused dad, a more focused leader in my work. Has allowed me to spend time doing this with you, which has been awesome. So it's had some really cool ripple effects, and I've got a long way to go, but it's been neat to see how, if nothing else, my mentality has changed in the last 6 months of where my priorities lie.
It can be really easy to be entertained in our lifetime. That is like the purpose of media today, is to entertain you. And if we're not careful, we'll just be entertained our whole lives and never actually do anything, never actually grow, never actually love our spouse, our children. And it is very easy to kind of whisk that away.
Yeah.
Now, one thing I will say, just real quick before I forget, because I was a little concerned that people might think we're doing this podcast and taking time away from our families. And so just to be clear on this was actually a discussion that you and I had.
Yeah.
Prior to this, like, hey, this is fun. When in the world are we going to do this? So to be clear, we are recording this at that 6 a.m. mark. And so our families, Lord willing, are still sleeping. At least I hope my children are still sleeping. And so that is the one area, like, we couldn't necessarily just run around doing this podcast, taking like hours away from our families. Wouldn't that be the irony? Let's talk about family and let's get away from that.
Right. Let's spend time.
Yeah.
No, I so appreciated that, because it was you're exactly right. A discussion that we had is, when can we do this? And love that. And we both are blessed to be in the situation with work where we can, if we need to set aside an hour or two, we can do that. And so definitely appreciate that flexibility.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
So just looking at our conversation so far, I mean, really, I hope this gives everybody kind of a good glimpse of our goals, mission, who we are, where we're going, and hopefully it's relatable to people. Because one thing I will say is that we're just average dudes. So I do hope that people find our situations relatable, just trying to raise children in the midst of this chaos that we call life. So...
Right.
And I get that across.
Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt you there. And I think looking around, I mean, at least it feels like life's very busy, and I get the sense that if we're feeling it, others are feeling it. And so I think it's really cool. Like you're saying, this has been an outlet for us to be able to grow and just have some fun together. And I'm hoping that there's other dads, other men out there that can be listening to this and find it just as encouraging, entertaining. So I'm really excited to live into this, to grow into this podcast. And,
right on.
And see where the Lord takes it.
Yeah, right on. Well, you came up with a wonderful idea, and I think we ought to do this. And it's our lightning round of questions. So... would you like to go first, or shall I?
I would like to go first.
Go for it.
So these are not related to the podcast at all. They are the first 5 questions that popped into my head. Nice. And they're pretty quick answers. I don't want you to, it's the first thing that comes to your mind.
Don't overthink it?
Don't overthink it. So breakfast or dinner?
Oh, breakfast.
Eagles or Phillies?
I'm sorry, Phillies. I love you, but my Eagles.
There you go. What's your favorite cheese?
Ooh, American. And people would disagree with me on this, but not your Kraft American. I'm talking about your dairy farm white American. Oh, locally here, it's called Clearfield. Excellent.
That's excellent.
Yes.
I would strongly disagree with you on that.
I know
but
you
that's
would.
okay. That's okay. Lifting or running?
Ooh, lifting. I can't run.
Fair enough. Curious George or Waldo?
Whoa, wow. George, but that's because my son has an affinity for him.
Okay. All right. Well, those are good answers. I can support a lot of them.
Those are excellent questions. So, okay, now time for you. Watching a game live, football or baseball?
That's an excellent question. Baseball.
Baseball. Okay.
I've to be fair, I've only been to one football game, and we missed half of it just sitting in traffic. So it was I've maybe a little bit of a negative connotation with that.
Well, we ought to change that in the future.
I do love a good baseball game, though.
Yeah. Okay, good. If you are grilling something, actually, let me rephrase this. You're going to a barbecue joint. What's the one thing you're picking off the menu?
Oh, a hamburger for sure.
A hamburger.
Yeah.
Tanner, a barbecue joint. You're getting a burger?
I love burgers.
Oh, good for you. Good for you. Okay, so pizza toppings. Give them to me.
Sausage, peppers, and onions.
Okay, no pepperoni, no ham.
Pepperoni, ham, if anything, bacon, but then that's
Okay.
I've got this thing with too salty. My wife will back me up on that. It's I'm forever saying that's too salty. This isn't salty.
So my last two are food related, and one is bacon.
Okay.
It's my most important, so I'll save that one for last. But ham and pineapple pizza, yay or nay?
No, absolutely not.
Thank
Keep
you.
fruit off my pizza.
Good man. Good man. Oh, my last but most important question: floppy or crispy bacon?
Ooh.
Don't disappoint me.
Yeah, no, it is a hands down floppy.
Absolutely. Oh, too many people in my life are crispy, and I always question their judgment.
It's a shame. Why would you do that to pork?
Thank you.
Burn it. No, don't burn it.
That is burnt. Crispy bacon is burnt. Tanner, I just so appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Great questions. I love that.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for waking up early, hanging out, and I'm really excited. Tell you what, we have 2 episodes that we're planning out right now. We're in the midst of it, so maybe we can even give you a little sneak peek. Mm-hmm. And so maybe I can describe the one, you describe the other. Does that sound good? That fair? Okay. We have a guest coming up, and we're talking about generational things. And so, for example, we're looking at how when we build families, as we look at our past and look towards our future, how across generations from our parents, our grandparents, are things being passed down. And this can both be a generational curse, like a generational sin, or a generational blessing. And so we have a guest coming on who is an incredibly wise and gifted person who's going to be talking a little bit about this and how do we build families, recognizing our past and preparing for the future, and just trying to open up everything and open up our world to that we can actually see these things and make sure that we're setting up our children for success.
That is awesome. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
I really am. And the one after that, we're planning on getting a local business leader who has a heart for seeing businessmen grow and has a heart for family. Really looking forward to hearing about how can we as business owners focus on family, on growing a successful business and doing it with integrity as the Lord wants us to. So really looking forward to that.
That'll be fun.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun.
Well, great. Well, thanks for spending time, and we'll keep going. We'll hope you guys enjoy Forging Hearts.
It was a good time. Leave a comment if you can.
That's right. Take care, guys.